So now we're going to get into some of the particulars of heaven. Swedenborg goes into this section where he's talking about everything from clothes to homes to government to language to this and that. He's just laying out for us particulars beyond the near-death experience, which is kind of cool. It takes you to that next step. What else? What else is out there? So let's talk about clothes. Swedenborg starts out by saying, all the people in heaven are dressed according to their intelligence. And since one will surpass another in intelligence, one will have better quality clothing than another. The most intelligent wear clothes that gleam as though a flame, some radiant as though a light. The less intelligent wear pure white and soft clothes that do not shine. And those still less intelligent wear clothes of various colors. He goes on to say the angels of the inmost heaven, though, are naked. And I want to address that first. I want you to think about the sense that like Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden and were in such innocence that they did not know in the beginning or even think about or even consider that there was something wrong with them being naked. Nakedness and innocence go together. So those deepest, highest angels are in complete innocence. But what Swedenborg's pointing out is that our clothing, just like everything else we've talked about, time and space, it's even going to come into our homes. Our clothing is about who we are on the inside, reflecting on the outside. And so he talks about the more intelligent, spiritually intelligent the angels are, the more beautiful and brilliant and bright their clothing is. Now, it's interesting because at the very end of that quote, he talks about that people that are less intelligent have clothing of various colors. It's so funny because that's what I want to wear, clothing of various colors. So hopefully I won't be that intelligent. Whatever. Okay. But the thing is that what does intelligence mean? That's the key. Intelligence, he's not talking about that you know so much stuff, that you're getting great grades in college or or you're some, again, a philosopher, scientist, whatever. He's talking about something he's talking about wisdom. He's talking about the kind of intelligence that if you want to talk about, like, I know how to live my life in a way that makes sense. I can see what's going on in a particular situation, make the best of it, bring something useful out of it. Intelligence goes, we have this, street smart idea of somebody that's living in the city and in the street. In some places, you got to be street smart, see what's going on around you and be aware. Well, think of it in terms of like heavenly street smart. The idea that you can see what people need. You can see how they're feeling. You know what to do in the way of giving them that need or not, or in every different way. Intelligence is wisdom, really. So it's according to your wisdom how you appear and what your clothes look like. Now, next, we're going to talk about homes a little bit. Again, you could say almost exactly the same thing. Their homes really are a projection of who they are on the inside. One movie you might want to look at is Robin Williams is in this, What Dreams May Come, because it's actually based, the book is actually based on some of Swedenborg's ideas. But the whole movie, I can't give it away, but it is when someone home in heaven is a reflection of their deeper selves. It's just done beautifully in that movie, all the way from when they're fairly superficial and later come into the depth of who they really are. Their home changes, and their surroundings change and become more beautiful, so to speak, and more real. Well, that's what Swedenborg talks about in heaven. Our homes in heaven are a matter of what we love. It shows on the outside in our home. It's almost that idea like that, the human mind is the temple of the Lord inside of us. What's being created in every single detail, like in what rooms are in our house, have to do with what rooms we've made for the Lord inside of our own mind. If we are an open and bright person, I think we're going to have a lot of windows in our home. If we're somebody that's very warm on the inside, there's going to be a warmth to it, a beauty that comes out in those rooms more than some cold building that we might be used to seeing in this world, in an apartment we live in or something like that. Even the yard, the animals that are in that yard, how beautiful the yard is. Is there water in the yard for us? What kind of flowers are there? The grass, the trees, all correspond to or are projections of who we are. So if we have a lot of innocence in our lives, maybe we'll have some lambs running around in there or some deer. Maybe strength, of our lives, we'll have horses. It all depends on what we have on the inside, shows up on the outside. And then now I want to switch a little bit over to something a little bit different, and that is he talks about government in heaven. Now, you might think, well, why do they need government? Aren't they all good people and all that? Well, we often think in this world of government as something that's controlling so much of our lives, or taking our money, or this or that. I mean, a lot of negative things we think about. Or you think about governors in different countries who just don't seem to be very good people, dictators, things like that. That is not what's being talked about in heaven. What Swedenborg says is even in heaven, anywhere, you need order. And there are people, leaders, governors, leaders, organizers, you could have another word for them, that help lead us to a greater sense of order. So think about it. I mean, this may sound like a joke, but if you go to some camp, right? Like maybe it's a church camp or something, right? All the kids there or whatever, the families there might be really good families and all that, but you need somebody there to direct people. There's got to be a schedule there, people keeping on the schedule. There's going to be questions asked about how things go. Someone's thinking about the theme, and the feel of the camp as it's going by. I know I've led a lot of camps. So, I mean, these things are going on. You need a leader to lead. So when you think about government in heaven, you're really thinking about somebody who's creating an opportunity for community, creating opportunity for community and for people to go somewhere, so to speak, in their communities and in their spiritual lives. So therefore, Swedenborg says that there is government in the other world. I wanted to read you a quote from Swedenborg about government and say something about it. Since heaven is differentiated into communities, and the larger communities consist of some hundreds of thousands of angels, and since all the people in a given community are involved in similar good, but not similar wisdom, it follows of necessity that there are forms of government. Good order needs to be kept, and all matters of good order seen to. That's Afterlife, page 95. Just that idea, we all may love to do what is good, but some people are smarter than others about how to get there and how to be more effective, and that's what leaders do. Now, that's why what Jesus said, he who is greatest among you, let him be your servant. Meaning those who have the most intelligence, those who have leadership abilities, let them be the ones that actually serve the people by leading them. So even here we have the saying that someone who's in a public office is a public servant. Ideally, it's the same thing. So the leaders there, they lead, and yet unlike a lot of leaders in this world, they lead purely from love of the neighbor and love of service to others. Now, we're going to talk about a little later that there's also government in hell. And again, it's based on creating and maintaining order, but we'll get to that when we get to that section on hell. Anyway, so right now, I mean, they're the clothes are a projection of who they are. Their homes, everything around them is a projection of who they are on the inside. And then Swedenborg launches into government is important because when people are living their lives, we need order in our lives. We need a place to go. We need somebody to lead us, and it's all good.
Before we go, I have a question.
Yes.
That might be good on camera. I was just out of curiosity. What's the use of having clothing be a visual representation? Like, why create that hierarchy?
I don't think, why create the hierarchy of different kinds of clothing according to your intelligence in heaven? I think it's something natural. I mean, that what we're doing, maybe you could take it far enough to say that even right now, how we clothe ourselves is a product of who we are on the inside. So some people wear certain kind of clothing to make a statement about themselves. It's who they are. I think so in the other world, it's not necessarily God going, you're going to wear this and you're going to wear this, but it's a projection of who they are on the inside, shows up that way, shows up brighter, because they're brighter people. And I think that's the same thing with their houses. Even though the house may be formed by God, it's in accord to exactly as to who you are. And so, I mean, there are people that have great houses in their life. Well, they got great lives. They're really beautiful people. They got beautiful homes. And then some not so more simple, structured, lives, simple, structured homes. I think you always have to go back to what is the individual's freedom and choices and how that's projecting into their lives.